Hello guys, welcome back. So in the previous video tutorial, as you remembered, I told you guys that in this video tutorial we will work on the stories. We will start working on the stories. But before start working on the stories, first of all, let's complete some important features, which are basically the here you can see we have different posts and there are different likes. Different user like your friends, your different friends have these likes. That is, let's say 2% like this post, but we do not know who are these two persons. Okay, so now we are going to allow a user, that is an online user, if he click on it, if he or she click on this likes, then it will display these two persons. Similarly, for each and every post, that is, let's say three people like this post, so who are these three people? We have to display that when user click on it. And the same is for the, if you come here to the profile, the same is for the followers and following. We will display the follower list and the following list, not for an online user but also for each and every user. That is, let's say if you search for any person, then it redirect you to that person profile, and we will display for each and every user the followers and following list, and also the, you can say, the likes, that is who like your post. Now one thing before start implementing these features is that one thing that is common between these are, that is, we will be using the same user adapter, okay, which we already created. So that is why we keep the code separate. So you can say that this is a kind of reusable code. And now we are going to come here to the Endo Studio. Let's create activity, an empty activity, and we will write a reusable code in order to retrieve the likes, the person's information. Okay, same for the following list and the follower list. So let's create an empty activity, and we can give this activity name as show users show users activity. Click finish, and let's wait for it. So our activity has been created successfully, and I'm going to rename this same activity because I start the name with small English alphabet and it irritates me. So if you do not want to change it, you can just go with it. But first, let me just change the name of it to capital S because it irritates me. So let's just refresh this. So the name is changed now. Okay, show users activities. Anyways, now for the activities and for the, yeah, most for activities name use capital English alphabets. It is a good practice. But anyways, let's first go to the XML file, and then here what we need to do is, first we need to change this constant layout to the relative layout as usual. And the next thing is to add here a toolbar. Match parent ref content, and let's give id to it, and also first of all let's add a background to it, and it will be Android attribute window background. Okay, and then the id for this will be toolbar. Now the next thing is to add here a recycler view where we can display our followers, the, not our but for all, also the online user followers, followings, and also other people following and followers, and the likes. So anyways, we can say recycler view match parent ref content. Let's give id to this, and the id will be RecyclerView. And one thing is, let's move it below our toolbar, and that's it. Now come back, come here to the show user activity, show user activity.cat file, and here we need to create two string type variable. Now I will tell you why we are doing this. Or id, and it will be of type string, and let's initialize this with a null, and then we need another variable that will be by the name title. Now as I told you, we will write a reusable code in which if a user click here on this like, okay, then it will move the user to this show user activity, and on that event, on that click event, we will pass two things. One will be the ID and the other one will be the title. So when a user come here, then the title we will display here. That is, let's say if a user come from the likes, I mean if a user want to see the likes, then it will display here a title that is likes, and then here will be the profiles of that people who has basically liked the picture, I mean their picture and username. And same is for the followers. If a user comes from here, that is, let's say if a user click here, then it will display here a title followers, and here will be the followers user. That is, the in case of Muhammad Ali, there will be these two people who are the followers of Muhammad Ali, so that profile will be display here. So we will pass that on that click event. First, let's complete this now. And as I told you, we will be needing, now we need to create an instance of our user adapter class, and it will be of type user adapter, and let's initialize this with a null. And the second thing that user adapter needs is basically the list, a user list. It will be of type list, and we have to pass the user model class to it, and let's initialize this also with a null. Now these are basically the two parameters that our user class needs. Okay, one is, sorry, this is the instance of a user adapter, okay, by this name. And if you come here to the user adapter, it needs basically two parameters. The first one is the context, and the second one is the list, which is basically our this list in which contain our user. But for that, if you come here to the database, then first of all we need to retrieve the IDs. Okay, that is, we are now, let's suppose we are working on the likes. Okay, so for each online user, for each post, there are different IDs. That is, this post has 3 likes. Okay, and these are some users IDs. So we have to retrieve these keys, or you can say these IDs, which is basically the user IDs. You can test it in the users node, I mean you can check it in the user node. Sorry, just, I mean move, scroll to the bottom. Here you can see these IDs. Okay, so these are the users ID. So first of all, I mean we have to create a list, a string type list, in which we must first retrieve these IDs for each post. And same for the followers, that is, each person has a list of followers. Okay, and same is for the followings. So this user has 2 followers and 2 followings. Here you can see it. So we must, I mean, we need now another list in which we will retrieve these keys, which is basically the user IDs, and in case of the likes, the post IDs. I mean, each post ID contain, sorry, each like, each post, which is, this is basically the post ID. So each post contain the user ID, that is by whom this photo is being liked. Okay, has been liked. So yeah, I mean let's create a list by the name user list, and we can, it is of type list, and it will be of type, sorry, I give it again the same name, not user list but ID list. Okay, as I told you, it contain a list of IDs, so you can give it name as ID list. It is of type list string, and let's initialize this also with a null. Now once we have this, we have to retrieve these ID. I mean, as I told you, we will pass on a click event the ID and title, so we have to obtain this ID and title here. So for that we can just simply say, well, intent equals to intent, and then we can retrieve the I mean receive the ID dot get string extra, and we will be using the same ID, which is ID. Make sure to use the same spellings. Okay, so that you cannot so that you will not be get confused. I mean get string, and the title we will pass by this name, which is title, and we have to display this title that we will pass to our this show user activity. So let's just initialize our toolbar, I mean cast our toolbar here, and it will be of type Android X app compat widget. Sorry, first let's write the name for it. Okay, and it is of type toolbar Android X toolbar widget. Okay, find view by ID, or dot id dot, and the id for this is toolbar. Set support action bar toolbar support action bar dot set title, and the title will be the title that we will pass to the show user activity, which is stored inside the string type variable title. And hope you know about this, which I already told you guys, that in Kotlin you can also pass the title, like you can just say so support action bar dot title equals to title. Now this is basically the string type variable that we are passing to our this show user activity. Support action bar dot set display home as of enabled to true. Toolbar dot set navigation on click listener, which means if the user click on the back button, then we want to send the user back. Just finish that, okay? So it will just close that activity and it will turn back to the place from where we navigate to that page. That is, let's say if we click here on this follower, then on that click event we will pass the id and title to this show user activity. It will receive, we are receiving the id and title from there, okay? And then we are setting the title. That is, let's say if a user is coming from this followers, then it will display here on this show user activity that is followers, and here will be that user list. And if a user click here on the back button, then it will again come back to this activity. So hope you understand the idea. When we run the application, you will understand it more clearly. Now let's just initialize, add our recycler view here. Type recycler view dot equals to find view by id, or dot id dot recycler view dot set has fixed size true. RecyclerView dot set layout manager equal linear layout manager. Pass the context, which is this. User list equals to array list. User adapter. The first parameter is the context, which is this, which is show user activity, and then the second one is our array list, which is user list as array list user. And by the way, if you come here to user adapter, then we have this third parameter, which is fragment, okay? And this is basically for, since this is not a fragment, so that is why we will just pass this false, because we do not need that, okay? So as you know that it's receiving 3 parameters, so we have to pass these 3 parameters to it. So then we can say dot adapter equals to user adapter. ID list is array list. Now here we need to add a when statement, and it will receive on the basis of title. We will execute, we will run some functions, or you can say execute, implement some functions. So if the title is equals to likes, that is if it is likes, then in that case we want to use this dash arrow operator, okay, just like this. So we want to execute, implement a function, or you can say we want to execute this function, which we will create now by the name get likes. If it is equals to following, the title is following, then we want to execute a function which is get following. And if it is equals to followers, then we want to execute a function which will be by the name followers, that we will create now, obviously. And by the way, we are adding one function here that we will need when we implement the stories in the upcoming video tutorials. Okay, so let's just add that function also here, and that is basically to display the views of the story. Okay, for displaying the views of the story. So let's just implement that function also. We can give it name as get views. So once we have this, let's just quickly create these method functions quickly. So create function get likes, remove the comment. Also let's just create this second one, create function get following, remove the comment. Let's create this third function, create function get followers, remove the comment, and let's just create this third one, which is get views. So first of all, for the likes, what we gonna do, let's give some space between, sorry. So here, come here to the user adapter, and from here I want to check one thing, which is not user adapter. I think it is on our post adapter. And by the way, if you see this red line, okay, in your case it will not be appearing, okay, this red line. It is because of this fragment container. I mean, it is not causing any error, but since I think my windows, I do not update my window from last 6 months, and that is why, I mean, it is you can say little bit slow. My PC is little bit slow because of that, so it is not getting that reference. But when we run the application, it will execute. In your case, it will not show you this red line. Okay, so just ignore this. I just want to tell you guys so that you can know it. Anyways, for we have here on the post adapter, we have this function which is by the name number of likes. Okay, just copy this code from inside. Okay, this function which is by the name number of likes, just copy this function code, okay, and come back here and paste that here. Now we have to do some changes here. So there is our likes reference, and it is up to the likes node, and we to pass here the id must not be null. Reference like reference dot add value in listener. If data snapshot exists, if po dot exists, then what we gonna do? Let's just remove this. Now we are going to retrieve something. First of all, make sure that, I mean, our id list is clear if there is anything in it. So we have to clear this dot clear. Sorry. Then by using for loop, we can say snapshot data p0, which is our data snapshot object, okay, dot children. So we have to get that dot air snapshot dot key. And let me tell you, now for each, I mean, in order to retrieve the likes, as you know that if you go to the likes, okay, then for likes we have id, which is basically the post id. That is, let's say if you come here to the home, then each post has their own id. So that post id basically contains some ids, which is the user ids, or you can say the user keys, user ids. You can also verify it from the users node. So we have to first get these ids, okay, and we are storing it inside our id list. So our reference is to this node, which is, let's say for example, we are now online and we click on this post, okay, so likes dot child this, and then this contain these children. That's why we write here that is po.children, and this po represents our this reference, which is likes.child id, the post id basically. So we are getting key one by one, and we are storing it inside our id list, which are basically these keys, okay. And now once we have these keys, we have to retrieve the information for each of these key. That is, let's say en has information here inside our user node. En is the id of this person, so we need to retrieve the image and name for that person. So we need to create a function in which we will basically write a code in order to show the users. So let's give it name as show users. Let's create this function. inside our show user activity. Remove the comment, and then here we can say. So for that, one thing is, let's go to the user adapter first, and here I want to check something. Not here, let's just go to the search fragment also. And here on our search fragment, we have a function by the name retrieve users. Okay, retrieve users. Just copy this and we will do some change in it. Okay, so copy this function, okay, and then close this search fragment, and we have to paste it here inside our show users method function. Okay, then paste that here, and here we need to do some changes according to our need on our show user activity. So we have a reference to the users node, and then we have add a value event listener on it. And first of all, remove this if statement, okay, and then we have to clear our user list, okay, which is here. Just copy this. So we can say that user list as array list dot clear for snapshot in data snapshot dot children value user, and here we need to say for id in id list. If user dot get uid become equals id, then we are going to add this in our user list. Then user adapter dot notify data set changed. So that's it. Now the next thing is to display the to get the following, and then we will call once we get the IDs, which are basically for the followings. We have follow node, and then the user ID, and that user ID contains the followers and following, that is which person followers or following list we want to see. So we have to pass, just like we did for the likes, we have to get these keys, we have to store it, and then on the basis of which we can call over this same function, which is by the name show users. Okay, so for that, here in our first, let's just implement the following. Let's just close this extra files and come here to the profile fragment. And on the profile fragment, here we have this function by the name get followings. Here you can see it. You can just copy this code from here and come back to the show user activity and paste that code here, and we will modify it according to our need for displaying the users. So we have to get these IDs for each person. Okay, first, since you know we are now retrieving the following, so in order to get that, we have a reference Firebase database get instance dot reference dot child follow dot child id dot child following reference dot add value event listener. And now remove this, and here we are going to retrieve the IDs, and we have to store it inside our list, which is by the name id list, which is our this one list. So for that, what we're going to do is we can just say that first we have to make it clear. By the way, we can just copy this same code. Okay, just copy it, come here to the get following, and then paste that here. So id list dot clear snapshot id list dot add snapshot dot key. That's it, and then we call the show user node, just like we did for displaying the likes, the IDs, that users who has liked the post. We are doing the same here for the following, and also now for the followers. So for the followers, we just need to come to the profile fragment, and here we have this followers. Okay, get followers function. Just copy the code from here, come back to the show user activity, and then here inside we have to just paste this and pass the ID here, and then remove this if statement from here, and then we just need to paste the same thing here for displaying the followers of a user. And for now, let's just leave our this function empty since we have not implemented the stories. We will work on it once we implement the stories feature. And now let's just go to the profile fragment now, because on our profile fragment we have this followers and following. So if a user click on followers, what we want to do, let's just get this specific text which displaying this number. Okay, so it is here inside our on create view, and let's just go to the XML file for our profile fragment. We have to check the ID for this, which is this one. Okay, the ID for this is total followers. So just copy this ID, come back to the profile fragment, and now inside our on create view here we can say, let's just move it here, we can say that view dot and then paste that ID dot set on click listener, and then in here I have to write an intent. So we can say, well, intent equals to intent. First we need to pass the context, and the second one is, the page where we want to go. So we want to go to the show user activity class.java. And as you know that we have to pass two things to this activity. The first one is the ID of that person, that is, let's say if you are going from here, then basically we need to pass the ID of this profile, that is Muhammad Ali profile. Okay, so whenever the user click on it, we will get that ID and we have to pass that, and also we have to pass the title to it since we are receiving it here. Okay, so we must pass the ID and title to it. In that case we can display the following list, follower list, and same for the likes. In case of likes, we have to pass the post ID, that is, let's say if a user click on this likes, 2 likes for this photo, so each photo, each this post has their own ID, so we will pass that ID and the title which is like. Okay, so let's just do that. So we can say intent dot put extra, and make sure to use the same ID. As I told you, we are receiving it here as ID, so we must pass it by the same name which is ID, otherwise you will get error. And we can the ID for this profile is stored inside the profile ID variable, and the same it will work for the other user. That is, let's say if a user search for any profile, let's say Gia Parker, so if you click on it, then this profile has their own ID. So now when a user click here, then automatically we are getting that ID, this profile ID for on the profile fragment. Okay, hope you remember that we have already covered that in the previous video tutorial. Okay, which is here, get string, we are getting the profile ID. Okay, here you can see it. If a user want to navigate to someone's profile, we have already done that, so hope you remember that what this profile ID means. In case of the online user ID, it will contain the online user ID, and in order if you want to navigate to someone's profile from the search or from the post, then it will redirect us to that page, so it will get that person ID, profile ID. So anyway, let's just complete this quickly. The second thing it needs is the title, and we must pass once again the same name, which is title. And the title we will write the same that we are using here in our statement, when statement, which is title. Okay, because on the basis of this title this function will get executed. And for the followers we have this followers, so copy it and paste that here, and now we can say, sorry, start activity for the intent. That's it. This is for displaying the followers. Let's just copy it paste it down below. Now for displaying the followings, we have an ID, which is this one, total following. So copy it and paste that ID here, okay, for displaying that. And for this we have a title by the name following. So following. Now let's go to, let's set a click listener on our likes, which is for displaying the person who like your post, which is this one, okay. So we have to go to the post adapter, and our post adapter, we have, let me just show it to you, we have this text view which displays the total number of likes. So let's come here to the on bind view holder, okay, and inside our on bind view holder, let's just set a listener on our that. So we can say holder dot likes dot set on click listener, and we have to pass the same information. So copy it, come back to the post adapter, paste that here, and here we need to do some changes, and that is basically to pass the context, which is m context, and the profile ID we can get by using post dot get post ID. And the title for the likes, in order to execute the function, it is by the name, you have to check it, which is likes. So likes, and then start activity for that. By the way, it is our adapter class, so we have to say that in context the start activity for the intent. So yeah, that's it. Now we are ready to test the application, so let's just run it. So here you can see the application is running now successfully. Okay, here we have this post. Here you can see this post has only one like, which I liked already. Okay, here you can see it. So if you click here on this, then it will display only this one like. And since you know that it displaying our in order, we have implemented this feature that if you are following yourself, then only in that case you can see your own post. Hope you know that, which we are doing by default. Now if you scroll a little bit, this post has two likes. Let's just click on it. Here you can see Muhammad Ali and Tony Stark. And also if you click here, then here are these three IDs. Now one thing which we need to do here is that from here, in the next video tutorial, what we will be doing is that we will also, in the upcoming video tutorials, we will retrieve this following button, for the online user. That is, you know that I'm now an online user, and this post is liked by these three people. So we will write some code which will basically invisible this button for an online user, okay, so that user cannot see, unfollow or follow himself from here, because he is an online user. So we must invisible this button for an online user. So anyways, these are the things. And also we will implement other feature, which is if a user click on any profile here, then it will navigate the user to the profile page for that person, just like we did for the search. Now let's just come here to the profile, and here we have this, okay. So let's click here. So two followers now I have, which is the Tony Stark and Gia Parker. And then for the following, let's click on it. I have three followings. One is Gia Parker, Muhammad Ali, which is my own self, okay, and Tony Stark. So as I told you in the next tutorial, for an online user, in the upcoming tutorials, we will also implement this feature, that is to invisible this following or follow button for an online user, okay. So yeah, that's it for this video. And in the next tutorial we will be working on the notifications